Ministry of Foreign Affairs must outline safety measures for Ghanaians visiting Cairo ahead of second leg World Cup qualifier match. Also ahead, Chief Executive of Kenya's Electoral Commission and 3 other officials accused at Kenya's Anti-Corruption Court of being behind 15.26 million tender to purchase the equipment charged over a $15 million tender for equipment that was meant to prevent vote fraud. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amano. When I return, I'll bring you details of these stories and plenty more. 47 foreigners engaged in illegal gold mining on the Ofin River, which is within the Upper Dentra East municipality, have been arrested in a dawn swoop by the Central Regional Security Command. Those arrested included Chinese, Indians and a Tech. A Ghanaian suspect who was also arrested during the swoop was, however, released later.
Try as much as possible to put in much effort just to make sure that this exercise succeeds. Because, I mean, everyone is crying. They are depleting our forests, our water bodies. I mean, when you see the rivers, I mean, it's an eyesore. So this is a special national assignment. That shouldn't be played with at all.
And as of now, until we are able to destroy all their machines, I don't think they will ever stop. So as of now, this is an exercise that we're going to undertake, and you can see it for yourself. And to be very honest with you, this task force came out of the directives of His Excellency the President. And as a regional minister and as the chairman of the Regional Security Council, my duty is also to ensure that the task force actually work to perfection. And this is not going to be an idle wonder. We will continue to undertake this exercise until such a time that we flush out all these illegal monies. And then after that, I think our water bodies will be clear for usage.
Richard Kojonyako is our Central Regional Correspondent. He's joined us over the telephone with the latest on the situation. Hello, Richard.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Richard. What's the latest on this?
Well, the latest is that the foreigners are undergoing a repatriation exercise in Accra, but over here at the Upper Dentra East municipality, the devastation effects of the illegal mining is something beyond description. The rivers and the water bodies have been destroyed, and all the lands have also been destroyed. They've been degraded because the indigenes and the foreigners have teamed up, and so some of them were arrested in the houses of some of the indigenes. And these foreigners were driven away by the presidential task force about 5 months ago, but some of them came back and they were hidden in the various houses and guest houses and hotels by the indigenes. And so the swoop that was undertaken, no one knew about it except the regional minister, the regional police commander. So they were taken by surprise, and that is how come they were able to arrest all these people.
Do we know what the police intends to do with these people after the screening?
Well, after the screening, I'm told by the immigration officials that these people are going to be deported to their countries. And so the only things they took with them were the monies that were with them at that time. Apart from that, all the things that they've worked and labored for have been left at the Upper Dentra East municipality. And the police are saying that they are not going to leave the situation to any chance, they are going to be on them until that the rivers and water bodies and the lands have been cleared of all of these illegal miners, because their equipment that has been mounted on the Offin River were also destroyed using gunshots, and some of them were also set ablaze. And so this is to ward off all of those who would want to engage in any illegal activities along those riverbanks and in the river as well.
Residents must be relieved at this point.
Well, it is a mixture of situations, because the residents, some of them are relieved, others too are saying that it's their livelihood, that is what they do for a living. I remember when we went there, the regional minister and the team wanted to set some of the equipment ablaze, and the residents who found themselves on the other side of the river were pleading with the team to leave those things for them, because that is where they earn their money and the other from. And so our sources, and from all indications, according to the Municipal Security Council and the Regional Security Council, some of the high people in society are involved, talk of the politician and some of the chiefs. And so it's become very difficult for them to deal with, and that is why the soup took the form it took.
Many thanks, Richard. Richard Kojonyako is Joy News' Central Regional Correspondent. Let's take a listen to the police commander of the Central Region.
The minister organized this particular operation with me for us to be able to at least get these miners off our rivers. And that's why we organized this operation. You saw that when we came at first, we went to Dunkwa-on-Ofin, where a task force had already been there, and we have sacked all these Chinese away. But we heard that they have returned, and therefore we came back. And then today we have arrested more than 40 of them. And that is why we are here. We are going to burn these boats also, and then we'll sustain the operation. It has been very, very successful. In fact, myself and the minister, we made sure that nobody heard of we coming to Dunkwa-on-Ofin. You even saw, the pressman, didn't know where we were going. And so we took them by surprise. And that's why we've got these numbers of Chinese at Dunkwa-on-Ofin, because if we had told anybody, the information would have got to them and they would have run away.
ACOI Francis Palmdetti of the Ghana Immigration Service has also been reacting to this matter. We spoke to him earlier on News Desk.
We cannot conclude that they came in without due process. For now, they are being screened. But what I would want to say is that this was an exercise conducted and directed by the regional minister in Central Region. He is also the head of the RegSec, and so it falls within his mandate to conduct that kind of activity. And so the regional minister and the police service actually led in this operation. We just were part of it. Because we deal with foreigners, once foreigners have been arrested, it is for us to hold them in custody and also do necessary screenings to establish how they came in, whether their stay here is legitimate or not. Those are things you need to establish through screening. As I speak, we don't have all their passports with us. We're in a position to establish whether they are here illegally or not. It's only after that has been done that we can say that they entered illegally, or they are residing illegally, or they are conducting an illegal activity.
Let's turn attention to the Upper West Region, where residents of Kpaguri in the Wa municipality are appealing to the Municipal Assembly to clear the refuse dump that has surfaced in the suburb the past few months. Located in the heart of the suburb, the residents are worried about the danger it poses to their health, especially because many are increasingly turning to it for nature's call in the absence of adequate toilet facilities. Rafiq Salam highlights the problems.
Kpaguri is one of the oldest and indigenous Wala suburbs in the Wa municipality and has a population of over 7,000 people. It used to be a community with homes made from mud and thatch roof, but it has evolved due to siting of the University for Development Studies, as many of the mud houses have been upgraded to accommodate students. Judging from the way the houses are put up and the way residents go about their daily activities, one would least suspect sanitation challenges. a heap of refuse has piled up and has been left uncollected for several months. Kurina, Edmond and Sewa Kwache have lived here for over 2 decades.
This is my house. When you look at the house down there, sometimes when it rains, the scent just comes to our room. Sometimes I have to close my window because of the scent. And even this house flies, they just come to the house. If your food is there, they will just come there, do this. It's affecting us. It's really affecting us.
Apart from the smell alone, it poses a lot of health hazards because there are people staying around this place, and flies come here, then go back to settle on our foods, then everything, and as a result, it pollutes them. And when you take in this food, it goes into cause a lot of problems in the health system.
Children play and scavenge for items here. A refuse container has been abandoned for over 5 years and has been overtaken by weeds. Only one public toilet serves the over 7,000 people. Its untidy state, however, means the refuse dump is a better option when it comes to attending to nature's call, especially at night. Otherwise, the other option is to join the queue during any part of the day. Remove your clothes and wait for your turn. The residents, fearing the outbreak of an epidemic, called on the Municipal Assembly to immediately clear the refuse and put up stringent measures to deter people from defecating or dumping refuse here. The WA Municipal Chief Executive Isaha Kunuhu Putiaha said he was aware of the springing up of refuse dumps in some suburbs due to the failure of waste management company Zoom Lion to collect the refuse and assured of plans by the Assembly to clear them.
This issue of the toilet, Assembly even gave the community a toilet and there was no plot for it. There was nowhere for them to construct it. So sometimes you have to also ask the people to get to a site. Once the site is not there, there's little the Assembly can do. So we are on the community. Anytime they get the plot for us to come and construct the toilet, we will come to their aid and see how best to do it. It's not only Koguri. There are other places. Konta is another area. There's toilet allocated to Konta. There's no plot for us to build it. They have built everywhere, and there's not even a sanitary area allocated. And that is wrong. They've sold all the places they have. So you have to also talk to the community to assist us by way of getting land for us to put some of these things in.
Rafiq Salam's report from WA.
Ghana loses an amount of $290 million annually to poor sanitation in the country. Speaking at a forum on sanitation, the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Joe Otinyeje, said this is worrying and must be addressed critically.
According to a report released by the World Bank's Water and Sanitation Program in April 2012, the country loses $290 million annually to poor sanitation. This trend does not only negatively impact on the health of Ghanaians, but also a drain on the economy of the country, according to the Environment Ministry. The need for sanitation to be taken seriously has become paramount as the menace continues to drain the country's economy. According to the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Joe Otinyeje, lack of access to improved sanitation has a profound effect on the health, economic, and social well-being of Ghanaians.
That Ghana loses about 420 million Ghana cedis, which is about $290 million because of bad sanitation. And that constitutes about 1.6% of our GDP. The question is, we are creating these sanitary environments. And so government is losing such huge money. Can't we do anything about it? And I'm positing, my hypothesis is that if all of us agree that we can do something about it, minimize this cost, use that gain to maybe go and subsidize the electricity, use that gain to go and remove schools under trees.
The director of the Business School of Gimpa, Professor Samuel Bonsu, stressed the need for sanitation inspectors to be reintroduced to help in addressing the poor sanitation problem facing the country.
How did the town council lose its authority over sanitation, and who is responsible for the current situation that we find ourselves in? Government and its public health units abandoned the idea of health and sanitation inspections as population increased, perhaps considering the financial cost savings. Indeed, the cost in terms of medical bills, dead citizens, is far in excess of how much it would cost to ensure healthy citizens through proper sanitation conditions. There is the lack of political will entrusted with the task of policing, sanitation, and ensuring conformity to bylaws. We need a change in attitude. We need an attitudinal change in our country to recognize that sanitation is a problem not for individuals, but for all of us as a collective.
A former Minister of Health, Alban Bagbin, reiterated government's commitment to improve conditions in the health sector, particularly the training and maintenance of requisite quality human resource.
Government will continue to improve conditions in the health sector, particularly the training and maintenance of the requisite quality human resource for the effective implementation of the Health for All policy. The human factor in the development matrix of every society cannot be overemphasized. Brick and mortar and major physical infrastructure are all well and good, especially in the area that we're talking about, sanitation, health.
The panel on the forum spoke on the theme, Sustainable Sanitation Delivery, a key requisite for achieving MDGs at the 3rd Annual Health Conference held in Accra.
The Kolebu Teaching Hospital has rescheduled the reopening of the surgical theatre. The facility should have reopened in October, but the hospital says it will now be opened to the public in November because they are yet to complete ongoing renovation works. The surgical theatre was closed down in August as part of renovation and retooling by government to improve healthcare delivery.
The last time the surgical theatre was rehabilitated was about 20 years ago. The state of deterioration alone demotivated staff working there and forced the cancellation and rescheduling of most of the cases that were referred there. At the time of our visit, contractors were busily working to complete the 7 operating theatres, the recovery ward, and the dressing rooms for health practitioners and an equipment sterilizing room. Coordinator of the National Medical Equipment Replacement Project at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Nicodemus Gegbe, explained the delay is as a result of the state of deterioration, which called for a total restructuring of the project.
Initially, we were going to just concentrate on replacing obsolete equipment in the operating rooms themselves and then also the recovery wards. But it quickly became obvious that we had to more or less alter the scope of works to include the changing rooms because, in fact, these had deteriorated. And I can tell you the state of infrastructure here, required that we alter the scope. So a combination of these have led to a bit of a delay.
He is, however, hopeful the theatres would be completed and handed over by the end of November 2013.
But I can't say on authority that we are progressing quite rapidly. See that we have virtually completed all gas installations. Okay, the next stage will be to finish the walls and then the floors. We are hoping that by the end of November, this place will be ready for handing over.
He added that staff would be retrained in the use of the equipment that would be installed and a fund set up for the maintenance of the equipment.
To probably consider the setting up of a dedicated equipment support fund, okay, where revenue that is generated from the use of medical equipment is ring-fenced more or less, for resources to be provided.
About $2.8 million has so far been spent on the pre-installation works and replacement of medical equipment. And authorities are hopeful the completion of the theatre would ease the pressure on the other theatres at the hospital. But until then, the alternative theatres at the ground floor of the surgical department and other theatres in the hospital will have to soak the pressure.
In a move to intensify its war against child trafficking, 30 officers from the Anti-Human Trafficking Squad have been undergoing training. The Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service says the officers selected from across the country would be equipped with modern child trafficking skills. With me in the studio at the moment is ASP Joseph Denefo Dakwa. He's public relations for the Ghana Police CID. Many thanks, ASP, for your time.
Thank you.
The training is ending tomorrow?
Yes, we bring the workshop to a close, even today.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So what have you been equipping these 30 officials with?
That's right. These officials, as we have already said, drawn from all over the country. We are equipping them with the new trends of investigating trafficking issues and child labor issues, how to actually investigate them, how to track down these traffickers, and then also equip them with the law to enable them to, as it were, that's their tool, the main tool, to empower them to do their work effectively. And then new techniques of handling this trafficking issue. You know, trafficking, human trafficking is a cross-border issue. It's an international problem. And so we are bringing them to that standard where whatever is happening in Ghana or whatever they are doing in Ghana is not different from what is happening in, let's say, the US or other countries. So we bring them to the international standards of investigation.
What has, or how have our efforts been helpful so far?
Very good. It's very interesting to know that Ghana has actually, especially the police service, has done a lot to combat this menace of trafficking. We have now been brought to tier 2. You know, the United Nations, they have classification. When you are doing well, you come to maybe the final tier is tier 1. We are now at tier 2. And it means we have put in a lot of effort. I must say that the Ghana Police Service, the police administration, has done enough to, as it were, equip detectives, the officers, to combat this menace of human trafficking. It's interesting to note that we now have offices all over the country, I think with the exception of Tamale and Tema, which we are yet to open. So we have offices in all the regions, especially the border towns where this kind of trade goes on. And we've also at least equipped them with the necessary tools.
But you know, a U.S. report, a 2013 U.S. report had said that Ghana as a country was not doing enough to eliminate human trafficking. I don't know what you think about that.
Yes, I think you can revisit the report and see that now we are doing well. Yes, it was to ginger us to do more. But now I think if you go back to the net, you see where Ghana finds itself. We are doing very well. We've moved to tier 3, where we were previously, to the second tier, which shows that we are doing well.
So tier 3 is the point where...
No, tier 3 is lower. When you come to tier 2, then it means you are improving. When you get to the final tier 1, then it means you've done much to combat.
And Ghana is currently at tier
2,
tier
the second tier.
Which means we still have quite a distance to cover.
But it's very, very encouraging when you look at how the cases we've done so far. Maybe I don't want to, but you may be aware of this Chinese issue. We rescued them, and we have rescued about over 1,000 victims of trafficking, which is appreciable.
We'll come to what happens after you've rescued the victim.
Yes.
But let's talk about some of the challenges you face in the line of duty.
Currently, yes, we have few challenges. Sometimes we rescue the victims and where to keep them. And then, yes, that has been the main, and sometimes transportation. But I must say, the police administration, with other stakeholders, like the ILO, the UNICEF, the American Embassy, I must say that even the ongoing workshop is supported by the ILO, American Embassy, FIC, UNICEF, and other stakeholders, and other NGOs. So, yes, I think those challenges we have surmounted quite a number of them. Yes.
I'm happy you mentioned the fact that it becomes difficult to accommodate some of the victims you rescue, because in this 2013 U.S. report I was talking about, they had mentioned the fact that we had done very little in protecting the victims, the people we rescue. What's been the stride so far?
Yes, I think the police administration itself is now even in the process of constructing a place, a building where the people we rescue, the children, women, and other people we rescue will be accommodated till we send them to the various, homes. I must also say social welfare and other, the Ministry of Gender and Children Social Protection all have been supporting us greatly. And the other NGOs, churches, they come to our aid.
Help me understand something.
Yes.
When the police rescues a victim,
yes,
and you hand it over to social welfare, is the victim still under the protection of the police, or
yes,
it now becomes the sole responsibility of social welfare, or the shelter where you take that person?
That's right. Yes, and when we rescue them, that's not the end there. We need to investigate who are the traffickers, who are the and so we have to keep them for some time. During that period where investigation is going on, that's where we have to have a place to keep them. That's where social welfare and other NGOs and churches come in. So until we finish with the case, then we, as it were, reintegrate them into society. Sometimes we trace their families, we trace their parents, and where...
And all of that is in the purview of what the CID unit on human trafficking does.
That's right. That's what we do.
I see.
We just don't leave them. We follow up. We link them up with their parents to their society. Sometimes we contact the chiefs in the communities and other people and say, oh yes, these are from our areas, and then we send them back. And where maybe we cannot trace them, that's where maybe we have to hand them over to social welfare.
How quick does this happen, especially when it comes to prosecuting these criminals? You have to investigate, and then you have to go through the law courts, and we know how long these takes. How quick do we get them that closure, if you like?
Yes, that's very interesting. In human trafficking, we have two main issues. We have the traffickers, who are criminals, and then we have the victims who have been trafficked. Right. Now, with the traffickers who are criminals, we keep them in our custodies. We send them to maybe the prison custodies, waiting. Then investigation goes on. Immediately after investigation, then we prosecute them.
How quick is this process?
I cannot give a time frame, but investigation takes time. We have to trace to know who. There are cartels, big men behind this trade, and we need to get to the source. Sometimes we have to sometimes you realize that the people who were trafficking them were middlemen. We have to get to know who are behind that scenes. And so sometimes it could take some time. But then we expedite actions on trafficking issues. And as soon as investigation is done, we send them to court. I can talk of this Chinese issue where some were trafficked into Ghana. As soon as we finish with investigation, those who trafficked them were prosecuted and jailed.
I see. And it's been the same with most of the cases?
Most of the cases. Where sometimes we don't get the traffickers. Maybe a bunch of them will there, but in that instances, we look at the issue if we have to trace their families, their guardians. We do. And like I said, in few cases where we are not able to trace their families, guardians, or parents, we hand them over to social welfare.
This training is meant to equip the 30 officials. But I'm sure there are other needs of this anti-human trafficking department or unit of the Ghana Police CID. Yeah. What would some of these resources or logistics you might need be?
Yes, like I said, sometimes the vehicle to transport them. But thank God now police we have now
which vehicles. Means you're good to work. You're good to go.
Yes, and we're working.
And so with this training, what are the hopes for the future as far as anti-human trafficking is concerned?
Very soon we will move to Tier 1. we will minimize. It cannot be eliminated completely, but I am very convinced that the Ghana Police Service will be able to minimize trafficking in persons. One funny thing, even until quite recently, people, the public, some people did not know that it is even an offense to traffic people. Parents especially the endemic area, did not know that it is an offense, as it were, give your child. And parents were, I wouldn't say selling theirs.
Let's break down the trafficking then.
Yes.
What exactly is this human trafficking? Let's break it up.
Yes, the law says the transportation of human beings, the harboring, through coercion, force, and distance, is trafficking.
So let's try and bring it down to the level of, like you were saying, the rural family that gives off their child. At what point will they be engaged in human trafficking?
Yes, one thing we realized is that there was fraudulent in trafficking. Now somebody will come and tell you, oh, mommy, if you are, I just want your kid, a 10-year kid, to go and live with me in the city, or to go and stay with me. I will take care of him, send him to school. Before you realize, your small boy, your 10-year-old boy, will be sent to the lakeside, maybe the Volta, perhaps, and then he will be engaged in fishing and deadly jobs, hazardous jobs that are not meant for children. And before you realize, even sometimes one person takes him or her and then gives to another person, and then quite recently, what has been on the increase is those seeking jobs. Or even sometimes they put in
they advertise
in the media that, oh, if you are seeking job, and then they transport these people to nearby countries, the Middle East. When you get there, they take your passport, they take everything of you, and you are compelled to do what you might not like to do.
For me, that is well known, but what may not be well known is the fact that the rural family giving off their child, and they are unaware that these people are not going, the child is not going to have the life that has been promised him or her, but will be engaged in all sorts of. So what must parents in the rural areas do then? Let's wrap up with that.
That's right. What we have done and we are still doing is an educational campaign. Sometimes it was, you see, they were naive, they were ignorant about these things. So we have embarked on educational campaigns, especially in the endemic areas, the coastal towns, around the lakes, the forest areas, to tell them that yes, it's an offense to, as it were, give your child underage to somebody as it were, to be employed in hazardous jobs and all this. And now, thank God, most people are becoming aware. We've educated them so they know that a child must always be in school.
Right. Thank you very much, ASP, and all the best.
Thank you.
ASP Joseph Benefo Dakwa is Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Police CID. We've been talking anti-human trafficking. We'll take a quick break. I'll be right back. Hello again. This is News Today, and the proposed single currency for the West African Monetary Zone, ECO, to be launched by 2020 may just not materialize. Vice President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Toga McIntosh, tells Joy Business the difficulties confronting the initiative, which is to ensure and strengthen a common market zone in the sub-region, are many. Key amongst them is the conflicts arising in the euro market and the conditionalities required through the various central banking systems to harmonize reserve capacities needed for them to agree on the single currency.
As we move into this, there are a lot of conditionalities required through the central banking system for you to start putting in a common currency, your reserve capacity. So until we can harmonize our reserve capacities, we cannot agree easily. That was the first problem. The second problem has to do with, if we move in that direction, we're fighting in a global space. Many other countries will suffer the consequences. If they give up the CFR, and we come up with what we call ECO, and then we combine and form one currency, we will be stronger, but by our strength, we will move some people from the global space. That's the point I was making. So the difficulties are there. Compounding this difficulty is the recent development in the euro market. We saw the last 2 years what has happened in the European common money, arrangements. Countries that could not have the backbone to substantiate it end up borrowing, collapse in other areas. And we need, if we're going to make that move, we need to clearly study and understand those factors that led to this kind of, conflicts in the Eurozone. And if they are so grave that we cannot handle them, then we have to rethink our strategy.
Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration Hannah Tete says Ghana stands to gain from signing the controversial economic partnership agreement. Though she does not say whether the country will sign the agreement or not, she explains the EPAs will expand Ghanaian exports to the European market and allow the EU to take advantage of the country's assets and expand their investments. She was speaking at the Ghana Summit, where she also called for the review of the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme to duly address the current challenges confronting inter-regional trade.
Discussions on signing the EPA, which will give European producers free access to African markets and vice versa, are ongoing with an October 2014 deadline. Civil society and various interest groups are, however, fiercely against the agreement, arguing that it will cripple local businesses. At last weekend's meeting of ECOWAS leaders on the issue, Vice President of the ECOWAS Commission explains the negotiators are yet to conclude on a common position for the regional bloc.
We're discussing the European Union are talking about 80%. The African countries are talking about 70% ban. Somewhere in there we have to balance it and come up to a consensus. That's still on the board. And the next critical issue on the board has to do with the exclusion factor, the flexibility you have to negotiate your own trade arrangement with other countries. I think once we can come to a consensus on what our flexibility ban is, we will have no difficulty. But all other elements regarding those discussions have been taken care of.
The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration believes Ghana stands to benefit from the EPA.
When you have on the average 35% currently of our exports going to the European Union, the certainty that would be provided by a concluded economic partnership agreement would allow those businesses that have taken advantage of the assets that we have in Ghana, the peace, the stability, the democracy, and so on and so forth, to expand their investments and to be able to improve their exports to the European Union from Ghana. We are very optimistic that having made this progress on the common external tariff, that probably will be a good way forward.
She added that while working on the EPA, the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme should also be overhauled for the needed results.
The trade liberalization scheme that we have agreed to and has been in existence for decades is not being implemented as one would have wished. It's about making sure that we have a uniform process of evaluating the applications from the different companies that are looking to export their products across the ECOWAS sub-region, so that as member states we can be satisfied that when a company obtains ETLS registration, indeed that product meets the requirements of the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme. We also need to talk about infrastructure, because within West Africa most of our transport is still by road, which is perhaps the most inefficient way of moving goods across our sub-region.
She also called for a proper management of the entry points of the sub-region, which remain porous, and harmonized standards will slow down inter-regional trade.
The U.S. Federal Reserve has voted to keep interest rates at record lows and to continue with its $85 billion a-month bond buying program meant to stimulate the U.S. economy. Last month, the Fed took analysts by surprise when it delayed its decision to wind down the program. In a statement released after concluding their meeting, Fed officials said the U.S. economy continues to grow, but only moderately. Rashida Baba Kadiri brings us sports after this.
Rashida Baba Kadiri, thanks for making time to join us on Sports on News today. It's proudly sponsored by Tigo. Smile, you've got Tigo. Now, Ghana have been very unlucky as the world governing football, but the football governing body of the world, FIFA, says that the match with Egypt should be played in Cairo. Remember that Ghana FA sent a request to FIFA to have the game moved from Cairo to a neutral ground due to security reasons. But FIFA says that the game should go on in Cairo no matter what. But I'm sure that the Egyptian FA have provided FIFA with a comprehensive security detail detailing FIFA as well as Ghana on measures it has taken in place to ensure that Ghana will be safe before, during and after the game in Cairo.
FIFA says the World Cup playoff between Egypt and Ghana would go ahead in Cairo, despite a request for next month's game to be moved to a neutral venue. The Ghana Football Association expressed concern at the security situation in the Egyptian capital as it urged the world's football governing body to find a safe and secure venue for the November 19 return leg. But FIFA, in a response to GFA, confirmed Cairo as the venue for the second leg match after writing to Egypt to provide the sport body with guarantees on the security situation for next month's tie. FIFA confirms the decision was based on guarantees received from the government of Egypt and CAF's decision to allow Ahly play their Champions League final game in Cairo. The decision means football fans would be allowed into the Air Defense Stadium for the game. The Black Stars romped to a 6-1 win over Egypt in the first leg of the two-legged playoff in Kumasi on 15th October.
Now, security analyst Emmanuel Soate says the decision by FIFA that the second leg of the Ghana-Egypt World Cup playoff takes place in Cairo despite security challenges is very unfortunate. Now, he has called on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to outline safety measures for Ghanaians visiting Cairo ahead of the second leg of the World Cup for Brazil 2014.
Okay, a number of implications. First of all, I just hope people will be consistent. And then when it comes to a team like Italy or France or Germany or England playing under the same circumstances, they will insist that they go and play. I really hope so. Because given the little I know about European football, I don't see how Chelsea or Barcelona or even a small team will go and play there now. The second thing is that the fact that the military has moved the venue to their camp means that they think that it is insecure. Now, there are certain indicators you look out for when a country is getting into problem. One of it is that are there military checkpoints and police checkpoints? Are there many within, for example, a kilometer? Or are there arbitrary arrests? Is there polarization along political lines or ethnic? What is the local media saying? What is the international media saying? Are there mass mobilizations? And what is the relationship? Now, I'm giving the indicators that are pointers or general pointers of insecurity that will guide any analyst of saying that, okay, let's double check or put in place certain mechanisms. I think that it would have been better if the match had been relocated. But for the Egyptian government and the military regime, I would argue that they don't see it only as a sporting activity, but part of a political strategy, part of an international PR to show that they are in charge and that Egypt is safe and they can host such an event. So they don't see it only as sports. Sports might be maybe 20 or 30% in their calculations. Most of it will be beyond that, more of diplomacy and trying to send a message. That is the one side. The other thing I'm concerned about is that a winning team is not only the players and the officials. The supporters are a cardinal part of any winning team. That is why for FIFA, sometimes when they want to punish a team, they'll make sure you play at a stadium where your supporters do not come. Now, the problem would be Egypt can provide security for the players and the officials. What about the supporters? Not organized supporters alone, but individual supporters who might be coming from elsewhere to watch the match, elsewhere in the Middle East.
You just heard the voice of Emmanuel Soate, who is an international security expert. Now, let's still stay on the subject of Egypt because the FA of Egypt has laughed off rumors making the rounds that the players and officials of Egypt would take $1 million each if they are able to beat Ghana to qualify for Brazil 2014 World Cup. I'm wondering how this can be a possibility, though. But in football, they say nothing is impossible. But the Egyptian FA says that it is not true. The players or officials are not receiving $1 million even if they beat Ghana to qualify for Brazil.
The Egyptian FA has laughed off reports circulating in the Ghanaian media that United Arab Emirates-based airline giants Fly Emirates have promised to pay each Egyptian player $1 million bonus if the Pharaohs manage to overturn their 6-1 deficit and qualify to the 2014 World Cup in Brazil ahead of the Black Stars in the second leg of the playoffs next month. The Egypt FA insists their initial arrangement with the Egyptian government for players and technical team should the Pharaohs surpass Ghana for Africa's last ticket to the 2014 World Cup still holds. It will be recalled the Pharaohs were promised a little over $43,500 if they achieve the country's long-awaited dream of a World Cup berth for the first time since 1990.
Right, now let's come back to the Black Stars of Ghana, and I'm sure by now you've heard rumors circulating that Kwesi Appiah needs a technical director, and so a certain Top Mola is being courted to take up the role of technical director for the Black Stars if they do qualify for Brazil, so that things will be easy for Coach Kwesi Appiah. But there are varied opinions. There are some who say yes, he does need a technical director. There are others who also say that no, he doesn't need a technical director. He can be okay all by himself. Now, the person who has added his voice to those who say that Kwesi Appiah should be left alone to handle the affairs of the Black Stars is Technical Director of the Ghana Football Association, Francis Otiakinting. He is saying that his outfit is competent enough to help Kwesi Appiah should he need any direction or any assistance in terms of technical direction. And so he has been speaking to Joy Sports.
I believe Ghanaians, the citizenry, they have hope in Kwesi Appiah, and they have hope in the Technical and Development Committee set up by the Ghana Football Association, and then the Technical Directorate headed by Otiakinting. I think we should be able to, if Kwesi needs any advice, which I think he has. So we haven't left him like that. We haven't left him like that. Or is it because we have not been coming to the forefront? It is not right, because Kwesi is matured. His team is very good. He even has a psychologist who is a very big coach, and in person of Professor Minta. Okay. He has Maswe Kunedu. He has the technical bench is good. So if Kwesi needs any help, he will definitely consult us. We have been sitting down with him. We have been holding series of meetings with him before, during, and after matches. For this very particular match that has been played here, the one against Egypt. Before he left for Kumasi, the Technical and Development Committee sat down with him. We discussed issues which he definitely went through, implemented them.
Now, credible information reaching me indicates that the Black Stars head coach Kwesi Appiah is really unhappy at the situation currently. That says that he needs a technical director, or he needs assistance in terms of his technical abilities, and so he should be giving a technical director. He's really unhappy about this. But trust me, this situation is not dying down anytime soon. It would unravel. There are more things to it, and we'll do well to bring you all the details you need to know on this particular subject. But you can check out all our platforms on radio, on TV, and online. Joy Sports on Multi TV, as well as myjoyonline.com, and of course Joy 99.7 FM. There'll be details of the story and the other stories making the rounds in the world of sports. My name is Rashida Babakadiri. Sports is proudly made possible by Tigo. Smile, you've got Tigo.
You're welcome back, and then we'll quickly, before we do international news, 4 multimedia journalists have been nominated for the 2012 Ghana Journalists Awards, and it's slated for Saturday, November 2. Sponsors of this year's awards and the GJA disclosed this at a media briefing today. Kwache Owusu Pepra and Richard Kojo Nyakon from Love FM in Kumasi, Manasi Asuri Awone of Joy FM, and Gifty Ando Appiah of Joy News on Multi TV are among the nominees. This year's winner will receive a total package of $20,000 sponsored by Unilever Ghana. The package also includes the opportunity to attend a convergence course in the United Kingdom. The 2012 award saw over 400 entries from journalists across print and broadcast journalism. The GJA president, Afil Moni, says this year has seen an unprecedented number of sponsors coming on board. Let's do our foreign news now. And the chief executive of Kenya's Electoral Commission was charged on Wednesday with a $15 million tender for equipment that was meant to prevent vote fraud during March's presidential election but broke down during the count. James Oswago, the CEO of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and 3 other officials were accused at Kenya's anti-corruption court of being behind the $15.26 million tender to purchase the equipment. The new technology was aimed at avoiding the violent disputes that led to 1,200 deaths after the election 5 years ago, as well as biometrically testing voter identity. The $15 million system was meant to transmit the number of votes cast to a central tallying center. The collapse of both parts of the system led to a very slow release of results, stoking speculation that the vote had been rigged. In showbiz, talented Ghanaian actress Martha Ankoma has landed a role with award-winning Ghanaian-born Hollywood filmmaker Leila Jansi, and she describes it as a phenomenal and an experience worth sharing.
Sexy actress who has been missing from our screens for some time now is a lead character in a new thriller called A Trip to Hell, directed by Leila Jansi. The movie was shot in Ho in the Volta region of Ghana and has a lot of suspense. Martha, who is very excited about her lead role in the movie, says she is glad to have worked with Leila, adding that it is an extraordinary experience worth sharing. The movie, A Trip to Hell, is expected to be released in December.
Here you go.
A recap of our headlines. 47 foreigners engaged in illegal gold mining on the Ofin River, which is within the Upper Danger East municipality, arrested in a dawn soup by the Central Regional Security Command. Use of ECO by 2020 among ECOWAS members may not materialize. Security Analyst urges Ministry of Foreign Affairs to outline safety measures for Ghanaians visiting Cairo ahead of second leg World Cup match. Chief Executive of Kenya's Electoral Commission and 3 other officials accused at Kenya Anti-Corruption Court break down during the count. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amano. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.